Hello and welcome to the United States Food and Drug Administration stakeholder webinar to provide an overview of the Modernization of Cosmetic Regulations Act of 2022. My name is Linda Katz, and I'm the Director of the Office of Cosmetics and Colors at the Food and Drug Administration. Following this introduction, you will hear from our Chief Scientist, Dr. Namandje Bumpus, who will provide brief opening remarks, after which I will go over the requirements mandated by the Act, also known as MOCRA, and the current steps the FDA is taking to implement the Act. Finally, Dr. Bumpus and I will answer frequently asked questions about MOCRA, then close out the program. I will now turn over to Dr. Bumpus.
Thank you, Dr. Katz. Most Americans use cosmetic products every day. These products include makeup, face and body cleanser, shaving cream, deodorant, perfume, and a number of other products. In December 2022, Congress passed the Modernization of Cosmetics Regulation Act, or MOCRA. It is the most significant expansion of FDA's authority to regulate cosmetics since the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act was passed in 1938. This new law will help ensure the safety of cosmetic products Americans use daily. In a moment, you will hear about the various provisions of MOCRA, like the mandatory reporting of serious adverse events and mandatory facility registration and cosmetic product listing. As part of FDA's mission, the agency is responsible for protecting the public health by helping to ensure the safety of cosmetics. We look forward to implementing this new statutory authority to help keep Americans' cosmetics safe.
Thank you, Dr. Bumpus, for these energizing remarks. As Dr. Bumpus mentioned, MOCRA provides FDA with new authorities and establishes new requirements for cosmetic companies. What I'd like to do now are to go through some of the definitions relevant to the provisions of MOCRA, and I'll start with cosmetic products. A cosmetic product is defined in MOCRA as a preparation of cosmetic ingredients with a qualitatively and quantitatively set composition for use in a finished product. Facility. A facility is any establishment, including an establishment of an importer, that manufactures or processes cosmetic products distributed in the United States. There are carve-outs for certain beauty shops and salons, certain retailers, hospitals, public health agencies, trade shows, certain research and testing facilities, and for establishments that solely perform one or more of the following with respect to cosmetic products. That would include labeling, relabeling, packaging, repackaging, holding, and distributing. A responsible person is defined as the manufacturer, packer, or distributor of a cosmetic product whose name appears on the label of the cosmetic product. An adverse event is described and defined as any health-related event associated with the use of a cosmetic product that is adverse. A serious adverse event is an event that results in death, a life-threatening experience, inpatient hospitalization, a persistent or significant disability or incapacity, a congenital anomaly or birth defect, an infection, or significant disfigurement, including serious and persistent rashes, second or third degree burns, significant hair loss, or persistent or significant alterations of appearance, other than as intended under conditions of use that are customary or usual. Or it requires, based on reasonable medical judgment, a medical or surgical intervention to prevent an outcome described in the preceding paragraph. I'd now like to address certain provisions in MOCRA, starting with records inspection. MOCRA amends the FD&C, or Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, to provide that FDA inspections of facilities that manufacture or process cosmetics shall extend to certain records and information, such as adverse event report information, when the applicable standards for record inspection applies. Records access. If FDA has a reasonable belief that a cosmetic product, including an ingredient in such product, is likely to be adulterated such that the use or exposure to the product presents a threat of serious adverse human health consequences or death to humans, the FDA can access and copy certain records related to the cosmetic product, including safety records. Safety substantiation. A responsible person is required to ensure and maintain records supporting adequate substantiation of safety for their products. The next item is mandatory serious adverse event reporting. Here, a responsible person is required to report serious adverse events associated with the use of cosmetic products in the United States to the FDA within 15 business days after receiving a report of such event. The responsible person must also provide certain additional information, such as new medical information, received within 1 year of the initial report. FDA will also have access to adverse event reports during an inspection. It also further provides for registration and product listing. Cosmetic manufacturers and processors must register their facilities with FDA and renew their registration every 2 years. FDA has the authority to suspend a facility's registration if the agency determines that a cosmetic product manufactured or processed by the registered facility and distributed in the United States has a reasonable probability of causing serious adverse health consequences or death to humans, and the agency has a reasonable belief that other products manufactured or processed by the facility may be similarly affected because of a failure that cannot be isolated to a product or products, or is sufficiently pervasive to raise concerns about other products manufactured in the facility. Further, it is a prohibited act to distribute or sell or otherwise introduce or deliver into commerce in the United States cosmetic products from a facility with a suspended registration. In addition, a responsible person must list each marketed cosmetic product with the FDA, including product ingredients, and provide any updates annually. It provides FDA with mandatory recall authority if FDA determines that there is a reasonable probability that a cosmetic is adulterated or misbranded, and use of or exposure to the cosmetic will cause serious adverse health consequences or death. FDA has the authority to order a mandatory recall if the responsible person refuses to do so voluntarily. In addition, for labeling provisions, there is a professional use labeling provision that requires certain labeling for cosmetic products that are intended to be used only by licensed professionals. The following provision is enforceable under MOCRA beginning December 29th, 2024. And this provides for contact information for the labeling, and it requires cosmetic product labels to include certain contact information through which the responsible person can receive adverse event reports. Contact information must include domestic address, phone number, or electronic contact information, which may include a website. The following requirements will also apply following FDA rulemaking. The labeling of fragrance allergen rule, and FDA is to develop regulations to identify fragrance allergens that must also be disclosed on cosmetics labels, taking into consideration international, state, and local allergen disclosure requirements. Good manufacturing practice or GMP rule. The FDA is to establish GMPs consistent to the extent practicable and appropriate with national and international standards and intended to ensure that cosmetic products are not adulterated. This may also include inspections to evaluate compliance with GMPs. Talc methods for detecting asbestos in talc-containing cosmetic rule. The FDA is to develop regulations to establish and require standardized testing methods for detecting and identifying asbestos and talc-containing cosmetic products. In addition, FDA will be issuing a report on PFAS in cosmetics by December 29, 2025. This report will summarize an assessment of the safety of the use of per and polyfluoroalkyl substances, or PFAS, in cosmetic products. Finally, the MOCRA statutory dates are listed in the slide. The key provisions are on the left and the order in which they occur in MOCRA, and on the right you can see the line for when those statutory dates occur. The lighter blue lines indicate places where FDA is required to do a proposed rule and a final rule. In addition, FDA is working to implement all of these new requirements. With respect to registration and listing, FDA is creating a new system to handle these submissions. As of March 27, 2023, we have stopped accepting submissions to the Voluntary Cosmetic Registration Program, or the VCRP. Because MOCRA requires certain companies to register their facilities and list their products with FDA, FDA is creating a new system to handle the large number of submissions that will result. FDA, therefore, will no longer be using the Voluntary Cosmetic Registration system and is no longer accepting and processing submissions to the VCRP. Information in the VCRP will also not be transferred to the new program being developed for facility registration and product listing, mandated by MOCRA. FDA will announce the availability of the new system. In addition, the FDA will be also hosting a listening session on good manufacturing practices, or GMPs, on June 1st, 2023. The purpose of this listening session is to hear from cosmetic manufacturers, including smaller businesses, consumers, and other organizations and other experts, so they can help to inform the agency's efforts as we develop regulations to establish GMPs for facilities that manufacture or process cosmetic products distributed in the United States. For more information on the registration and listing system and the GMP listening sessions, please visit our website shown here. Dr. Bumpus, I will now turn over to you for us to go through some of the frequently asked questions.
Thank you, Dr. Katz. So we will now answer some frequently asked questions that we've received so far about MOCRA. To kick us off, let's have the following question. Many manufacturers are wondering about the new process for facility registration, product listing, and adverse event reporting. When will guidance to comply with the new requirements be made available to industry?
That's a great question, and one we know many manufacturers are concerned about. The new law requires certain cosmetic facilities to comply with various new requirements, including mandatory facility registration and product listing by December 29, 2023. In addition, it establishes mandatory reporting of serious adverse event, and to report a serious adverse event, please submit these to MedWatch online reporting forms. FDA is also working to address the new provisions in MOCRA and will share new information when available. We recommend following our social media at FDA Cosmetics and at Dr. Bumpus FDA on Twitter. Also subscribing to our email updates and checking our cosmetic news and events webpage to stay as up to date as possible as we continue to make announcements on FDA's efforts. We also encourage you to attend our GMP listening session on June 1st, 2023, to share input as we develop GMP mandated by MOCRA.
Thanks, Dr. Katz. Our next question is, where can we find the forms and online registration needed to be compliant by the December 2023 deadline?
To reiterate, we are creating a new system to receive the mandatory registration and listing submissions. FDA will therefore no longer be using the VCRP or Voluntary Registration Program forms. We request that cosmetic companies wait to register with FDA until we announce the availability of the new system. Again, we encourage you to follow us on social media at FDA Cosmetics and at Dr. Bumpus FDA on Twitter, and to check our cosmetic news and events webpage so that you can be informed of when we make new announcements and announcements related to this topic.
Thank you. We have time for one final question, and that is, will you be introducing new cosmetics requirements in addition to MOCRA?
FDA enforces laws enacted by Congress and issues regulations as authorized by Congress. MOCRA is the most recent law enacted to strengthen our regulation of cosmetics. To implement this new authority, we will be conducting rulemaking and issuing guidance documents. We will inform the cosmetics industry and other stakeholders throughout this process.
Thank you, Dr. Katz. And that wraps up today's webinar. If you have any questions about MOCRA, please visit our website or email questions about MOCRA at fda.hhs.gov. And thank you for joining us, and be well.